Inspiration, where does it come from? Where does it go? Cotton Eye Joe. No, okay. As part of the Discord server, this is fantastic. I wish I started Discord right at the beginning, because it's wonderful to have this feedback directly from patrons over what exactly kind of videos they want to see. And one of the things that keeps cropping up is inspiration videos, theory videos, on where you get your ideas. And this is such a hard question to answer, because I've tried recording that a couple of times. Where does inspiration come from? Well, how the hell do I know? I have no idea. Do you know how the human brain is wired? I don't know exactly, but from my understanding, we have two parts of the brain, right? Left and right. Now, you think that socket A would connect to socket B on the other side, and they would correspond in a nice, neat overlap like that. No. Socket A from the left hemisphere interconnects with racket with point ZSSS star 55. The human brain is an absolute mess. So where does inspiration come from? Where do ideas come from? I have no idea. I'm trying to make a broad video like that, just simply doesn't work. So during the course of every video, I do try to talk about the inspiration behind any color palettes, color schemes, color compositions, etc. But in this video, I wanted to isolate that and look and drill down into the specifics of this tech gang that I've created. I want us to look at the initial conception of the idea, the initial inspiration, how I gather information to support that idea, how I flesh it out, how I buff it out, and then how I go about kit bashing the initial concept, how I go about sketching miniatures, not in the sense of painting, but in the sense of kit bashing and converting. So I'll show you a couple of tricks on how to convert your miniatures. I'll also talk a little bit of how that inspiration feeds right the way through the project. Now, I hope this video works in isolation. I hope it works for you. And if you like it, hell, let me know and I'll produce more of these little silly ramblings. I'd love to do more of this. Okay, let's get into it. I'm filming a green stuff or how to sculpt masterclass series, and a lot of the time in between cuts, in between edits, I'm just waiting for putty to cure. So I thought I'd take this time to address a question that was delivered to me. Now, I don't really feel like I can put this on the Patreon exclusively, so that's why it's appearing up on YouTube. Where do you get your ideas from? What is the process that you go through to create miniatures? And it's one of those nebulous answers I never really feel secure in answering, because I don't feel like that anything that I do is original whatsoever. Most of my inspiration is drawn from either my childhood or artwork or just things that I see online. Instagram is a phenomenal resource when it comes to developing your own artwork or getting a sense of identity or just generating an idea of what you want to create with your own miniatures. So I have my Necromunda file here just full of images that either remind me incidentally or just aggressively of the subject that I want to pursue. And one of the things I would like to clarify, one of the things I would like to develop in much further detail is a Van Saar gang. Now the Van Saars for me, they don't quite sit in my idea of what Necromunda should be, or at least my portion of Necromunda should be. They look too polished, they look too clean. I guess that's the point, but in my area, in my portion of Necromunda, they just don't seem to fit. So, where do you start in addressing that? Well, you have a look at some of your favourite artists. You have a look through the things that you've saved over time. Now, Cornell is a phenomenal artist that if you don't, he does kit bashes, he has his own YouTube channel. If you don't follow this guy already, please do, because he is phenomenal at kit bashing. He has his own Patreon as well if you do want to subscribe. But things like this really get my motor running. So it's a case of just skimming through what inspires me, figuring out why it inspires me, and translating it into my own work. A lot of the Inquisitor 28 stuff really is good. The hashtags on your Necromunda, Inquisitor 28, Blanchitsu, Grimdark, you'll come across just a variety of amazing artists doing some really inspiring stuff. Gang I've created, so I am recreating a Goliath gang in this style. We have Hobby Dad. Shattershell has some just unreal enforcers. So it's things like this that inspire me, that essentially, I guess I'm very good at information gathering. I'm very good at looking at a whole different heap of different informations and condensing them down to create something I want to recreate. With that in mind, I want to create a Necromunda gang. I want to create a not exactly tech heretic gang, but I want to create my take on the old tech gangs of confrontation. Now, before Necromunda was a thing, there was a series of articles released through White Dwarf called Confrontation, which set the I guess groundwork for Necromunda, what it came on to become, what it went on to become. And this is my idea. This is my take on a tech gang. So we have Mechanicum Scutari legs, Gene Steel occultist bodies, with Delac heads. One thing that strikes me as odd about the new Vansar kits is that they take their technology from a corrupted STC, and that the I guess weaponry that they have slowly poisons them over time. But when you look at the Necromunda miniatures, when you look at the Vansar miniatures, they all look very hale and healthy. This is something I wanted to address in my own gang. The Delac gangers' heads are gaunt, emaciated, inhuman. And this is a concept I wanted to play with my own gang. Now, when doing these sort of mock-ups, I like to grab some of this stuff. So this is, I believe it's called on Amazon, a photography tape. So it's much more solid blue tack. And then when I apply it on, or when I stick it on, it sticks with a lot more of aggression onto the surface. So I'm able to play with concepts, I'm able to play around with ideas, see what fits, see what doesn't. So for example, I have this guy. I quite like the pose. I want to build on top of it. I do want him to have a really big rad gun, big cancer gun. So in order to give myself an idea of test fitting, do I want it across here? Okay, that looks fine, but it's not really special. It covers up a lot of the miniature. I want to have something a little bit more expressive. So what about if we do this instead? So I could take my gun, sort of do that. Now I can have the hand running up here. There you go, something along those lines. I will need to do a bit more cutting and editing, but that will give me a much stronger pose moving forward. So I hope that helps in a little way. Where inspiration comes from, or what you get inspired by, it's one of those subjects that I think you could talk to at length but say nothing. It's something that I try and demonstrate constantly through the video tutorials I produce for the Patreon, where I draw on classic inspiration for colour schemes, where I draw on modern inspirations, where I want to go with Illustrator style, what's happening in miniature painting, like modern day, contemporary miniature painting. It's all a jumble of ideas that I enjoy exploring. And it culminates in little weird experiments like this.